right. So I don't know. I know that there's a common misconception between marketing and branding. People often think they're the same thing or they're one and the same, but they're actually quite different. While branding shows who you are, marketing is what you do to actually get the business. And your brand will strategically feed your marketing decisions, and they sort of they go together, and they honor your brand. So let's cover a few things in marketing. We'll look a little bit at 360-degree brand with mailings, looking at charity events, how to have your branding infused through emails, social media. I know a lot of the senior photographers use ambassador programs, but your advertising, everything should all be branded in 360 degrees. When I said earlier that branding should be executed, it's basically where your rubber meets the road. So marketing tactics really execute your brand. The touch points of marketing can help you communicate elements of your brand and the offering. So you have to think of your marketing plan as a body in motion. The body has muscles, it has joints, it has bones, and they all work together to make the body move. So you need to have your marketing plan execute your emails, PR, advertising, everything to get your brand out to your audience. So now I know everyone looks at brand differently, so you have to find a brand that suits your business. So this is just a cool saying that I love by Apple, being different. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some of us may see the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they could change the world are the ones that do. Oh, and we all know Apple is the pinnacle of differentiation. A prime example of how thinking outside the box can completely reshape the way customers think about a product, think about their own needs and their own lives. And Apple definitely sets the standard way ahead that competitors are going to have to chase Apple for years. So they market with a breakthrough, which leads to my next slide. Now we all know we're photographers, but we have to sell our work. So all our clients, they want to buy, but they don't like to be sold to. So how do you manage that? In a sea of clutter, how do you really stand out? Earlier, I referred to something called the Noahs Ark Effect. So in this deepening sea of clutter, what tactics can you use to get noticed in your market? One of my photographer friends said to me that she spent about $3,000 placing an ad in a children's magazine. And another colleague said, I was going to do the same thing that Joni did. And we looked at her like, why would you do the same thing? Because then you're competing with her, against her in the same market. Do something different. Just because it worked for her, be unique. Think out of the box. Do something unexpected. Find your blue ocean and stay there. It'll really help shape your business. In the early days, it's hard to make decisions and you don't know the outcome. And you defer to someone who's done something. You're like, okay, they were successful. I just want to do the safe decision. It's the risky ones that could actually get you somewhere. And if you're feeling bold, try it. Last year, I had mentioned I rebranded my old business before I merged with my partner, Katie. And here's an example of two ideas in one. I rebranded my business about a year and a half ago. I sent gorgeous scroll invitations that really stood out to only my Class A clients. And this was marketing my fine art style, and everything was done in line with my brand. I mean, the branding is still very similar, just a different logo. And when everyone received these, I got calls, text messages, people posted on Facebook. They took pictures of holding the scrolls, and they said, oh my God, we love the scrolls. And the cool thing for me was that it really got their attention. Not everyone booked a summer session with me, but they remembered the scroll. And then other friends and different people saw it because they tagged me and posted on the wall, and they were like, oh my God, she sent scrolls out? They were expensive. It cost me $500. And I'm not gonna lie, there was a moment that I said, oh God, I just spent $500 and what's gonna happen? This summer session, I had a few different locations, cities in New Jersey that I was gonna do these beach photos, and I was worried, oh, what if it doesn't pan out? But it did. In the end, I think I grossed $10,000, and I was thrilled. I can't do that 5 times a year as much as I'd like to. I would, it would be hard. I need this to be special. And so this was some marketing idea that built brand awareness for me because it showed them the style, it brought them back to my website, and it marketed a promotion that I was offering. One popular question I get all the time, and I hear over and over again, is a studio worth the investment? And I think the answer is yes, but first I want to talk about the investment part of it. How many people in here actually have a studio, by show of hands? A studio, like some either storefront or a location that clients could go to away from your home. Away from the home. Okay, now who doesn't? Okay, great. Now for the ones that do, does anyone pay under $1,000 in rent? Does anybody? Okay, how about do you pay under $2,000? Anybody? Under $3,000? Okay. Is anyone more than $3,000? Okay, that's cool. So now the ones that are under $2,000, all raise your hand. 1,000 and under 2,000. Okay. I felt like there were more before, but. So having a studio doesn't mean you necessarily have to invest a fortune. Does anyone here want to differentiate against your competitors, or are you comfortable being the same? Does anyone want to differentiate? Okay, right there are so few people that have a studio, and I'm not encouraging you to spend money, but I could encourage you to think differently to get a studio. Now you'll see here, the picture over here on the left was at my first location, which was in a mansion. Now how much would you think I paid for rent to reside in a 12,000 square foot mansion in New York? Anybody want to just guess? $5,000. Okay, cool. Anybody else want to guess? Whoever guesses wins a prize.
10 to 12,000.
You're so far away. Go ahead. Go ahead.
$800.
Wow, that's close. It was zero. It was zero. Now, have you ever asked for something outlandish and got it? No, seriously. Anybody? Come on. You would be shocked at what people say yes to. Now, I didn't ask for anything unreasonable. I'll tell you what I did. I really wanted a studio. I wasn't sure about my budget. I was in business for 3 years. And I was nervous about taking the plunge and making a big, signing a lease. So, local nonprofit had an Italian cultural foundation in a 12,000 square foot mansion that was vacant 90% of the time. They would have parties on Saturday or Sunday, and it wasn't every weekend. And I knew the owner. I had photographed there before because it was a beautiful space. I don't have any actually that picture and the upper right corner picture were taken in one of the rooms. So I loved the space, and the owner ran a nonprofit, so I played the Italian 2 card. I'm like, Licini. So I emailed her and I said, hey, I absolutely love photographing there on this date, blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much. Here are some photos you'd be welcome to use for your website and branding. And she had been interested in marketing more and having brides have the ability to rent the venue at a reasonable price. And they could only seat up to 100 people, but that was a good size. So I said, I know you were considering marketing brides. I'd be happy to help you in any way. By the way, I was actually looking for office space, and I just threw out there, Manhattan space is so expensive, I thought I'd stay on Staten Island. So I was automatically just throwing out price without setting a price. I said, please forgive if I'm being forward. I said, but if you'd ever consider renting space to me, I would be most grateful. And if it's not something you consider, I wouldn't be offended. I just thought it didn't hurt to ask. Thanks in advance for considering. Let me know how you enjoy the photos. I heard right back from her, and she goes, oh my God, absolutely. Because think about it, what kind of economy are we in? Are we in an awesome economy? Not really. So who couldn't use an extra $500 or $1,000 a month? That was my rationale when I met with her. So in the end, she actually could use photography services and marketing and brochure services far more than she could use $500 or $1,000, which was going to potentially be like the range. So we bartered. And I got to reside in this spectacular mansion, and all my clients would come and they'd pull into the parking lot and hold on to their wallets. So it was good and bad. It set that I was high end. But also it could be a little scary for clients because when you pulled up, it was this huge circular driveway and it had views overlooking a bridge and it just really was scenic. So the moral of the story is you have to just ask. If you all sat here now and thought of 3 places, dream places that you would love to have an office, think right now in your head, could each of you think of some place you'd like to be based out of in your local area? What are the chances that you could, if you built a relationship with them that asked, who wouldn't want to take an extra $1,000? Who couldn't use some, extra income right now? And if you do the right thing and build a relationship and help people out, they don't mind helping you out. And now you have a studio in a mansion potentially, or in a spectacular location. You don't have to have an iconic location. Sometimes it's actually more valuable to be located where there's, the center of town. For me, that wasn't an option because I couldn't barter with any of the businesses on the main streets in Staten Island. They were all pretty full. But for my style of photography, having a location that was unique versus high traffic actually made sense for my brand. So if you could even consider, one idea I had that I didn't end up doing was that baby boutique. It was on a main street, and I was going to consider asking her if I could have like a little corner of the boutique, maybe set up a display, a couple albums, and I'd pay her $500 a month, or pay her to actually display some of my art in the windows. She would have said yes. This came through first. I had a few ideas. I wrote a list of 4 or 5 ideas of dream locations. And I really thought I wanted the baby boutique on Forest Avenue. That was my thought. I thought, the mansion will never happen. The mansion happened fast, and it was fantastic. It helped my business. It elevated everything. But the barter system was a little tricky, so that's where I learned a lesson. With the barter system, you have to try to outline terms. But when you come in with a generous barter, outline terms makes you almost look ungrateful. So it's a slippery slope. When I was joining forces with my partner last year, she said, I feel weird, this is your mansion. I said, it's really not my mansion, but okay. She's like, I feel like I'm coming into your space. I'd rather get space together. And we had built a lot of marketing for our intimate portrait business around the mansion. We marketed it. We said, be whisked away, be a character in a Great Gatsby novel. And we had all this marketing around it. And she was like, oh my God, what happens if the mansion goes away? I said, we'll get another mansion. She's like, yeah, you're crazy. There's no way. I'm like, you just got to think big, 'cause you dream really big. And even if you land here, you're still up. So we started thinking realistically. We need space together. It would be stronger for us, that we would feel better if we had a lease, because we wanted something that was permanent, that was ours. So what did we do? We started Googling historic mansions, historic castles, Victorian homes, and looking for things for rent. And immediately we found this historic castle. We kind of threw in castle as a joke because we're like, wouldn't it be better if we got something better than a mansion? And believe it or not, the rent we pay for the castle is not a lot. Would anyone like to guess how much I pay rent for a castle in New Jersey? I know, you can't beat 0, but what could be a good rate? And I share this with you because I want to encourage you that you don't have to spend $10,000 a month on a storefront. You think 2,000? You said what? 3,000. Okay, anybody else? 1,000. Okay, I pay 1,500, which to me is not bad. We have 2,000 square feet exclusive. You see, the castle is right over here. Right at the center, there's actually a little terrace up there. That whole 3rd level is ours. So you see there's 3 dedicated windows, and at the end, where the chimney is on the far right, is where I photographed Teresa's daughter. That's where that actual beautiful window is. So we have 2,000 square feet. The only downfall to me is that it is on the 3rd floor, but it's a round, circular, gorgeous staircase. So we climb up. It's not terrible, and it's pretty roomy. But it's only $1,500 a month, which I don't think is bad, especially you're thinking New York, New Jersey, pretty expensive typically. And a lot of people say, well, how the hell did you get a castle? I'm like, okay. We Googled it, and how come it was available? Well, if the primary occupants of the castle are the family-owned business, and they have commercial and residential real estate business. And they market some of the aspects, the two areas of the castle. And there was one space available. But think about it, how many businesses would actually want to be located in a castle? Probably just artists. Other businesses, this was a little bit remote. It was down a private road. It wasn't accessible. So there weren't that many people knocking on the door. I was shocked because it made me nervous. I'm like, oh my God, I hope someone doesn't outbid us, but there was no one. So what's cool about this space is it's on 3 acres. This is just the back side of it. The front side, it's this beautiful courtyard, and there's stained glass from 14th century. It's just really beautiful space, Teresa can tell you. And there's a lot of stone and brick, and because of all the trees around there, it's actually really beautiful light. At some point, there's some harsh light that comes into the courtyard, but because of the way the shape of the courtyard is, it's not really direct light, and it just ends up bouncing off the walls, and it's very contrasty. So I feel like my images come out of camera looking like edited already. It's kind of cool. But I love being there, and I think that a great way in this economy to differentiate is getting an office for free. And I think you could all get it, and I think that it could help bring quality of life to you. Are all of you full-time photographers, or is anyone part-time? So the part-time? Okay, now who's full-time? Okay. So for me, and obviously it's not for everybody, for me, being a full-time photographer with 2 small children, 2 4-year-olds and a 34-year-old child, that's my husband, it was important to be out of the house, because the kids don't know when you're working in your office that this is your time to work. I also found that my clients took me a little bit more seriously. Does it really matter? I don't know. I mean, I'm not doing this 20 years, so I can't tell you for sure. But it did elevate how they looked at me. They took me as a serious business. It brought quality of life. And being in an office, I usually work Monday through Thursday. It really put me on a schedule. I stopped editing a lot at night. I kept most of my work during the business hours. And initially, it was free. So it was really reasonable. And I think a one way to differentiate in this economy, if you find that you're asking yourself the question of, okay, my bookings are down this year, or maybe my average revenue is down per client, if you're having any challenges in your business, this is definitely a way to differentiate. As you can see, maybe 10% of this room has a studio. Now, asking a question around the room, what would you say your biggest challenge in your business is today? Would anyone like to share? A challenge you're having? Getting the phone to ring. I'll call you. Clients. Anybody else? How about time? How about Dave and Whitney? Do you have any challenges in your business? I have to ask because work-life balance.
When you work from home, finding that balance is a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyone else have any challenges besides?
Or winter appointments.
What business? What is your primary business?
Yeah, portrait and weddings.
Okay.
And very.
I'll call you in the winter. We'll call each other. We have to stick together. Go ahead.
I'd say mine is differentiating and not just doing the same thing over and over again, finding a new way to take a picture that hasn't been done before. I think with Pinterest and everything, so many things are the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how can I pioneer a new style or look or feel that even people in LA are doing, Be a true artist, not just a copier.
Yeah, it's hard. All true artists are copiers.
Everything that has ever been shot has been shot.
You just do it better. But I'll definitely go into that a little bit more in detail when I talk about launching a signature line. But yeah, I mean, these are all good challenges. I mean, unfortunately, challenges are good. They help us grow. It's during these times of turmoil that you really take a hard look at your business and you make changes and you figure out okay, I don't want to start over. I don't want to lose this business. I love it. Hopefully you all love it in some way. For me, a studio and a home office is definitely a great point of differentiation because most of the world is not doing that. So let's see. So marketing. Now, senior photography does not exist in New York City. I don't know if anyone knew that, but when I say it doesn't exist in New York City, it doesn't exist in New Jersey, and I don't think it exists in Connecticut. I feel like I know almost every photographer in the tri-state area through groups and all of that. And if someone posts a senior photo, we pay attention because we're like, oh my God, someone did a senior session? Chances are it's a modeling session because they want to market to seniors. So we have a great opportunity to grow our senior business. Here is a local campaign. We call it the Revell Awards. And it's a campaign to identify and honor amazing young people in our community. we think this is a great idea. We think it's a new way of marketing to seniors. It's an example of creating a marketing channel that didn't exist. So we're looking, we created a blog post and we put it on Facebook and Twitter, and we basically said that we're kicking off the class of 2013 photography season, where our business will honor, and we'll launch a local campaign to identify and honor amazing young people in the community. So whether you've done some outstanding achievement, if you know a senior that has done something extraordinary academically or in sports, you could nominate them, and then the lucky winner, who we believe will judge the criteria, will be honored and celebrated with a complimentary portrait session, a $250 gift card for books, and maybe a $250 complimentary portrait credit towards portraits. So our hope in launching this campaign, because we're doing it right now, is that we'll break into the senior market. No one pays attention to senior photography. In fact, when I first asked Teresa why she photographed seniors, I thought she photographed old people. I'm glad you think it's funny, because I was like, she photographs old, maybe there's some old people, I don't know. And then when someone mentioned something more specific, I was like, oh, high school seniors. So there's a chance that my local community does not understand that. I mean, there's a picture of a young girl, it's not someone older, but so we are trying to launch this campaign in hopes that people will nominate their cousins, relatives, someone they think is deserving, and it'll build up a little bit more exposure for seniors. We've had a few people repost it, but it's been really quiet. I think we launched it about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. I'll let you know how it goes, but this was our way of thinking out of the box. Like, how do we market to seniors? Straight marketing wasn't working. Posting pictures, looking at schools wasn't working. And what our plan is in September is to go to 3 or 4 high schools that are, in our target market, and talk to the guidance counselor and say, we're honoring students that deserve recognition. Do you have any that have achieved X, Y, and Z, or done something outstanding in sports or sciences? Because beauty isn't always on the outside. People can achieve things, and everyone deserves to be celebrated, and everyone is beautiful in their own way. So we thought that we would take a different approach and honor them, and also in hope of building out the senior promotion. We would be able to, cast a wider net, show people that this exists, that this is something that's done. But for us, since we don't have senior photography in the New York, New Jersey area, we first need to educate our clients that it exists, and that is a huge hurdle. So earlier I grazed over education-based marketing. So now if all of you can just pretend you're going to be a wedding client of mine. Now let's imagine you went to see 4 photographers, and we all give you your brochures. You're going to put them in, you're going to see who you like, and you'll keep them. But if you actually incorporate education-based marketing into your business, it will really help tenfold. Now, to tell you a little bit about it, what I did for my wedding business was I created a brochure that said top 10 wedding mistakes. And when I had to do a bridal fair last April, I'm a preferred vendor at the Hilton in Staten Island. And it's a new thing, so it was my first bridal show, and I wanted them to remember me. And all the photographers, I think there were 4, had their products, their brochures, and the brochures are just usually a pamphlet with their photos and their contact information. So they look at it, and brides don't know the difference between good and great. Sometimes they book you on price, sometimes they book you on personality, or maybe it's style. But I wanted them to keep my brochure, and so I read a lot. It's something that I do when I want to be inspired, and one of the things I fell upon was this brochure, or creating a brochure that would stand out in your clients' minds. And now this thing is something they'll read. So they'll hand it over to their spouse, future spouse, or their mother. They'll share it with other brides, and I'll pass it around for you to see, but I'll read the top 10 wedding mistakes. And this is actually an extra brochure that has a typo on it, so I'm just announcing that. Okay, so number one of the wedding mistakes. Inviting guests to your engagement party, but not to your wedding is a no-no. And that insults a lot of people in the New York area. Okay, number 2, not taking a moment to slow down and enjoy your wedding day. Number 3, tanning and facials are a no-no the week leading up to your wedding. Number 4, not taking, this is the typo, oops, forget that. Number 5, not breaking in your wedding shoes can lead to disaster. Number 6, not eating enough the morning of the wedding could lead to exhaustion. I have so many cranky brides that they just want to fit into the dress, and Number 7, not proofreading your wedding invitation could lead to disaster. I had someone once write 2 o'clock ceremony when it was 3. But it was fine because they waited till 3 for it. But Number 8, not bringing your wedding rings to the ceremony. That happens a lot. Number 9, not having an engagement session may lead you with a photographer who you don't mesh well with. And number 10, over planning your wedding and not enjoying your actual wedding day. So be a guest at your own wedding. And that was sort of a plug for wedding planners. And the one was a plug for me. So now this is a brochure that they may say, wow, I shouldn't tan and have a facial. We all know that you shouldn't do that because we're in the business. We know certain things not to do. But this is something they're going to remember. And they're going to go, oh, it was that photographer? Oh. So I'll pass this around. You can look at it. I mean, it's not much different than what I just said. But education-based marketing could really impact your business. Now, imagine if you created a newborn brochure and the top 10 ways to keep your baby asleep, like, without suffocating them. Now, a lot of us are families here. We have families and children. We know how precious it is to keep your child asleep, or tactics for how to get them to sleep, or routine, or whatever. So that's the next brochure we're working on. I'll gladly pass it around once I have it. But think about if you put that in a pediatrician's office. Now, if someone else is advertising in a pediatrician or gynecology office or whatever, they'll see the brochure and then they'll see that education piece and they'll go, oh, wow, they're photographers as well? So if you appeal to them and they remember you, that's greater impact than the next person's brochure. So if you try education-based marketing in different areas of your business, it could really help grow your business tenfold and you'll be memorable. Okay, so let's talk about cross-marketing. Besides the obvious, interior designers, spas, medical offices, elective surgery, hair salons, baby boutiques, wedding venues, and planners, I think that there is an important cross-marketing group left off. So I think you should cross-market with other photographers. And, this is a competitive industry, and I think you should set yourself apart. But I think it's important still to find a collaborative circle of people you trust, whether it's local or around the world. I have a group of people that I love and trust, and 2 of those people are in the audience, actually a couple more than 2. And we really work together. When we have new marketing ideas or business ideas or aha moments, we share them with each other. And locally, it's still important locally. I had gotten a huge referral 2 weeks ago that I was mentioning, and it was a tremendous opportunity. It was through cross-marketing and collaborating with other photographers. We each, Teresa has a huge senior market, so I'll give her some tips, she gives me tips, and we share marketing ideas. And I think that even though this is a competitive industry, if you find people that you know and trust, it could really help build your business. And I definitely think that we should differentiate to build our businesses, but I also think there's an opportunity to create a collaborative circle of people. And whether you prefer for it to be, nationally or globally or locally, whatever it is, there's huge value in that. We attend these workshops and these seminars, and we learn from some cool people, cool tips, and we share. But there's a lot of you, that's why I'm making this interactive, there's a lot of you that have been in the business and you have some phenomenal experience that we would all benefit from. So actually, to talk a little bit about interior designers, so I work with 2 locally, and I keep having dreams that I'm going to meet more, but then life happens. So one in particular I have a great relationship with. I guess when I started my business 4 years ago, about a year in is when she started her business. And what was nice about kind of coming in at the ground level is that I supported her. I did some shoots for her to build a relationship with her. And then as her business got a little bit more established, high-end, she started growing, she would have me commissioned for either family portraits or she would purchase my fine art portraits of my travels, which, I told my husband, oh, we should go here on this trip and that trip, and I'd make him take me everywhere, and I'd be like, oh, but it's, like a business expense. And in the end, I did sell a few pictures. So I think that networking with interior designers could be a great source of revenue because they have clients that are investing in their homes. And chances are if they're doing a renovation and they've allocated a budget, it's usually a substantial budget. Why not put another portion of it towards art for their home, whether it's commissioning a fine art portrait or just a family portrait or something. Pet portraits is really popular. I've gotten 2 calls on pet portraits. So a lot of it is just networking with and building relationships with the designers. Now for spas, we have a dream of having a spa come to the castle and reside in the castle. We don't know if that'll ever work, but we keep thinking, oh, wouldn't it be nice that we could have a spa in-house? That way they could really have a spa day followed by a photo shoot. So collaborating with spas or small boutiques, I think it could really help grow your business and bring a lot of new higher-end clients if that's what you're looking for. And as I mentioned earlier, pediatricians, doing education-based marketing, putting together like a newborn brochure, I think would be fabulous. And then for elective surgery, we're currently in the process of working with 2 plastic surgery offices in Manhattan. We don't have a green light yet. We're working the relationship at the moment. But we contacted the office manager and we spoke to them about putting brochures. We told them that we'd love to do new website photos for their business. We said, oh, we see you could use blah, blah, blah. We know you're an established blah, blah, blah doctor. How about if we come in and do complimentary portraits? And at first we didn't get a response. We called, we got someone nice. So we're trying to see if we could build a relationship. Our belief is that if we get in there and photograph them, even if it's just corporate headshots, they'll get the experience of working with us, and hopefully they'll like us and potentially let us put brochures, and we could potentially have a bigger intimate portraits market if we could tap into that section. And then hair salons as well. I mean, no one talks more than a hairstylist. And for 45 minutes or an hour, they could potentially talk about your services. So networking with hair salons is great. And I already talked about my love of baby boutiques. And of course, wedding venues and wedding planners. Conveniently, my cousin is a wedding planner, and she's in the business 2 years longer than I am. So that's been helpful to getting some great clients and building relations with wedding planners. It's not always easy. I happen to have, an easy relationship. Okay, Teresa, come up, because you're good.
Okay. All right.
And she's beautiful, so who doesn't want to look at her?
Okay, so I actually got this idea from this brilliant 27-year-old marketing whiz. He actually, I met him at WPPI, and there's this guy, I don't know if you guys have you ever heard of a guy named Paul Ernest? Okay.
If you haven't, write that name down.
Paul Ernest.
Paul Ernest is going to be famous someday.
You'll want to know. He actually brought in quite a few awards at WPPI this
like
year.
722.
But he actually makes a line of books called Eddie Books, and they're not anything like Black River does. But Black River I use for all of my senior books, for my wedding books, all of that. But Eddie Books is just a little thing that I use for marketing to my wedding venues and to my basically like bridal gown places, anything like that. So what I do is just go in, and everybody is always saying, hey, I want to be one of your preferred, photographers to these venues, and they're going to charge you to be on their website or whatever, or it's tough to get on that. So instead of doing that, just go in and say, look, I've seen, I've shot here at this venue before. We think it's probably one of the best in the area, and we would love to put you in our little black book as one of the preferred venues in the area for weddings. And could I come in and just learn about whoever the owner is, learn about you, about your business? Can we come in and do some photos for you, and then put them on our website and on our blog and talk about you? And also, we give you this little book. It's about this big. They're fabulous, very artistic. Maybe how many, 10 pages?
Yeah, 10 to 20 pages. They're small.
Small, just little thin books, but they're fabulous because they're so unique and artistic.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're giving the whole story in a book form. And then just on the back, I just put all images by Studio Blunier. But this goes to the venue. Everybody loves them. They love that they're getting free advertising on your blog. And they're going to show that book to every single person that walks through the door. So, it's worked well. I've gotten free wedding gowns, to do for model shoots from gown places, just in exchange for the book and for mention on our blog. So it works really well. But Eddie Books, check them out. They're
Paul
amazing.
Ernest.
Paul Ernest. Eddie, E-D-I.
Mm-hmm.
E-D-I Books, yeah.
But
Eddie
Google
Books.
Paul Ernest. He's spectacular.
Yep, Paul Ernest. Yeah, his
He's
work
amazing.
is phenomenal.
Yes. He's one of the greats in our industry.
Yes.
You'll love him too. And if you don't, then you have bad taste.
So on that book, is that whole book just of that one venue or
Yes.
that one vendor?
It's just that one venue, that one vendor. I wish I would have brought him with me, but there is a new boutique, bridal boutique that just opened up in our area. The owner actually used to work for Chanel, and now she opened her own boutique in Peoria. And of course, anybody goes to Chicago to get their bridal gown. They don't stay in Peoria. So she thought, why not keep it in the Peoria area? So she opened this bridal boutique. And of course, as soon as I saw that she was going to be opening, I went to her and said, I really want to partner with you. You know, your gowns are beautiful. There's nothing like this. Can I do a book for you? You know, what else can I do to help your business? And I did the book for and she's been fabulous. She's let us borrow gowns for shoots. I do a lot of model shoots and that kind of thing, and she's let us borrow dresses for that. But I think it runs $25 for the little, that's well worth it in marketing.
Yeah.
And then I give her brochures and gift cards. I actually give her a gift card for a free engagement session, and she gives that to every bride that purchases a gown from her. So every bride has my name in her little gift bag that she gives out.
And I do something similar but a little different. I'll do like a press printed book, and this is sort of a little bit off topic, but I'll do like a wedding guest sign-in book. Does anyone do guest sign-in books? And I'll use the Black River. I'll do the press printed books, and they have all these different covers. So I do something a little bit different. I found a really cool, I forget what website it was, but it was a template. So instead of writing in the guest book just the name and best wishes, there are different questions on each pair of pages, and you could just write like a little bit of information. I found that to be really, really helpful. And I'll tell you what website I got the thing from, but it was awesome. So I'll make the press printed books, and that's been really popular.
Black River has the press
Yeah,
printed.
and that's been really popular for me to get my pictures in front of a big audience at weddings. And that's really been helpful because everyone's like, oh, who's your photographer? Because I'm there at the wedding shooting, and they see me, but they haven't really seen the work. I know some people do same-day slideshows, but to me that's so much work to bring in a projector. So I do the guest sign-in books at every opportunity that I can. And obviously, it's only with clients that book me for an engagement session, but I found that it was a great way to kind of get into my target market a little bit more, is having those books and doing something unique with the template. To me was really important because it was nothing like they've ever seen. So yeah, thank you.